Hey there, I hope your year is going well so far. In my last devlog, I outlined my plans for Dreadwinter, my cozy fantasy cafe sim, and I wanted to show where I'm at right now. The two main goals were to create a minigame where you could make espresso-based drinks, and design a new city for the player to explore. Making the espresso minigame wasn't too difficult, as there was a clear vision for what I wanted to add, and the main thing to work around was how to make the gameplay simple but entertaining. A bigger challenge for me was the process of designing Neo Solara, the financial capital of Lindengard, the country that the game takes place in. First, I should probably talk about the concept and theme I'm aiming for when I'm designing the world in my game, which would be a modern fantasy. The specific idea is a bit hard to visualize. Rather than something like Stardew Valley, which I would describe as a modern world with fantasy elements, or Sunhaven, which would be a fantasy world with modern elements, I wanted to create a fantasy world that's moved into the modern age. When you think of fantasy, you generally tend to think of something with a bit of a classical look, like buildings made out of wood and stone, rather than the more modern steel and glass. The town of Lunara, which is where Dreadwinter is located, is a bit closer to what you would think about when you imagine a fantasy town. The theme I had in mind for it was a town that is slowly transitioning into the modern age, but still clings to the past. This is a bit easier to design, since I think older buildings are more interesting, and I can add modern elements to present the idea of the transition to the present. With Neo Solara though, I imagined what a big city like London would look like today if magic did exist. In Cyberpunk 2077, it presents a city where in a futuristic world with cybernetic modifications, corporations are the ones that reign supreme, and it's evident in how the city is designed. My vision with Neo Solara is somewhat similar, where in a world with magic, capitalism still rules over all. With that in mind, it's time to start designing. I'm still working on it, but I wanted to show you what's been done so far. You travel to Neo Solara by taking the Sky Train from Lunara. As the name might suggest, it is a train that travels in the sky, and is probably more of an aeroplane than a train. The first thing I wanted to design was the area you arrive at, which would be the Neo Solara train station. I figured that a train that runs on invisible rails in the sky would pretty much just travel horizontally, so the station platforms would have to be quite high in the sky. That gave me the idea of having the train station be a skyscraper, where the platform is at the top. This was a bit tricky to visualize, since as far as I'm aware this isn't a real thing, so I didn't really have any references to work off. It took a while to work out how to present the idea that the platform was high in the sky, as there are some constraints to work with. I wanted to have a lot of skyscrapers and high-rises in the background, since Neo Solara is quite densely built, but I also needed to keep a lot of the sky clear to show how high up the platform is, so there's a bit of a compromise. One of the core features of the city is the abundance of advertising, and the main challenge was having a soulless, marketing-driven design that's also interesting to look at. Moving out of the station, you'll have your first encounter with one of the major factions in the game. These are 4 businesses that have a significant role throughout the game, each run by a witch. There's Dreadwinter, the Happy Summer Mercenary Company, Generous Spring Investments and Loans, which you may have seen an advert for, and the Merry Autumn Coffee House. Merry Autumn is a company that produces top-end coffee products, from beans all the way to machines, and also runs a popular cafe next to Neo Solara Station, which I thought would be a prime location for a cafe. I wanted to design the area in a way that was familiar to me when I walk around in the city. I think the scene could be a lot busier in this case, but when designing areas in games, you also need to consider how readable it is for the player, as in they need to be able to know where their character is and where they can go. I'm quite happy with how it's turning out, and I'm looking forward to completing the rest of the city. I'm currently working on adding the Generous Spring headquarters into the game, since it's an important location, and there's some other locations I want to add as well. After that, I plan to work on the game's intro. Like in Cyberpunk, there's 3 paths you can choose from, each with its own intro and unique traits. Each path leads to the same result, but the player will have a few special bonuses depending on which path they chose. On top of that, I'm also working on revamping the combat system in the game. I think I've managed to work out how the new system will work, and it should be a lot more fun. The current system is quite messy, so I think an overhaul is needed anyway. My estimate is that this will take about 2 months to do. My goal for this year is to share more of my progress, but YouTube videos do take a while to produce and take away from development time. With this in mind, I set up a website where I'll be posting more detailed write-ups about what I'm doing, alongside posting on other sites, so check that out if you want to know more. That's it for this devlog. Remember to like and subscribe, wishlist Dreadwinter if you haven't, and thanks for watching.